Hi, everybody, and it is definitely a more of a moonlight stream, moonlight with Black Spring with Autumn, and I don't know, I guess I could just have this as more of a commentary because it is so late. But I thank you guys so much for considering. And I just had a question for one: what happens when your class is determined by, say, the House of Mocktail? We'll see if we have time for that. Coming right up. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Black Spring with Autumn on this, what seems to be a moonlight stream of Black Spring with Autumn. And it has been quite a bit of what I call a wonky day. So, as always, I want to thank you guys so much for those of you that are tuning in. And for those of you that are not sure if you're tuning in, I really appreciate it at this hour. So, I'm probably going to, if I do commentary on this, I'm probably going to just take my time on it. And of course, I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Hello, Alex Bleeping Jones. I really appreciate you so much for coming in. And I want to give a thanks to my loyal patrons and subscribers at this hour. And thank you guys so much for coming in for what I considered the breaking news, which I think by this point it's broken, but no less. I will be right back. We'll have some Twitch on a roll, and then we'll get into maybe a couple of stories, maybe one at the most. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much. I'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T., Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for taking an opportunity to support the AI And when you do that, of course, you are supporting the channel as well. And I thank you guys so much for all of that. And if you're not sure if you're coming in or if you're just a voyeur, we appreciate it. We appreciate the consideration here. Because as I always say, you do have choices. And thank you so much. So, what I wanted to, I don't know, I'm kind of erring on the side of doing just commentary because there's been quite a few things going on and I am quite behind. And when I say I'm behind, I'm saying that it's been like more than 3 days since I've done a stream, and not that I've been, of course, that I've been asleep on any of these events, but there's been quite a few as always. So I just want to look at a couple of things. We'll see what happens. And thank you so much, Alex Bleeping Jones, for being here. Thank you so much for coming in. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I promise I'll come out of the shadows. I'll come out of the shadows soon. Um, but let's get started here just really quickly here. So I just wanted to, I'm kind of using this as more of an opening statement, I guess, is more, I guess, of the use of propaganda and the rhetorical, if you would. It looks like we have something that that's coming out of an amp.scmp.com, and I kind of opened up with, what happens when your class is determined by the house of mocktail. I'm not a model by any stretch, and I am not into, I'm not a fashionista, or I'm not a fashion, connoisseur. So, but I, of course, I recognize names, whether it's like a Chanel or whatever. However, but the mocktail brand seems to be carrying that same type of, that same type of chic, or type of luxury, if you will, for the lack of a better word. But you'll find out what that's about. But of course, according to TikTok, okay, it looks like TikTok is becoming a, I guess, a source of review on the house of mocktail, if you will. So we'll just kind of use that. I kind of think that's a lot more fun, even more fun than the Kovac than the Kovacs. But we've talked about that. We've talked about where the Kovacs comes from. But only the strong survived. Looks like we have Pfizer and Moderna that are holding out, that are the heavyweights in the situation. So of course, terms like middle class, peasantry, that is what brought me to this particular article. And of course, a little bit of a star-studded, stars directing our fate, courtesy of, looks like Dolly Parton had some, she's thrown her some funding, thrown some philanthropy behind big pharma or whatever, the Kovacs. And it looks like maybe Moderna was her choice. I don't know. So I just thought maybe we just look at that just a second. But I will tell you, to me, this is a precursor for things that I have, that I've done before. And, I call that Groundhog's Day around here. But to me, this is, it looks like there's more. Not only is this just more division, this is a new society that's being ushered in, or a new, dare I say, I've told you about the price of privacy. That's a luxury in itself. Okay. And I think that's only going to be something that's going to be attainable and sustainable by the elite. They're going to possess that. But when it comes to the mocktail, that the choice, your house of mocktail, what are you going to choose? Okay. So I'm going to take you guys into that. This is a bit of a kind of an icebreaker, if you will. And once again, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in on this late hour. So I'm going to be sharing that article with you. I'm telling you, the things that they won't say. I mean, they throw the pathos, the ethos, the kratos. They throw all of that in, and it really is. I'm really stunned by some of the remarks that I've heard, either from family members or just from random people in the street. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, are you fully mocktailed? Or upon entry into the door, the house. It's like, oh, please don't ask people that. Just, I mean, I don't know. It's just, and I don't mean to go into some type of spiritual, you know, diatribe or whatever, but it's just like people are just so of the world right now. And I think it's more than relevant. I think that this is people, they don't want to give up anything. They're not going to give up anything, even if it means, they're not going to give up anything. They want to be a part of, they want to be a part of, this new society. They don't want to sit at that stadium in the unmocktailed section. They don't. And yeah, it's clearly at least two societies that we're seeing right now. I think it's actually going to be more than that. And yeah, but we just keep going from one paradigm to the next. So I'm gonna stop yapping and get you to what I'm on about. Okay, so here and just the way that the bun and lettuce on here is pretty thick. So I'll get you through it. I've kind of given you quite a bit, but just I thought that it was comical, to see the bun and lettuce surrounding this. So this is actually, I guess, according to this from Style. I'm not familiar with that, that publication or whatever, but Style, Daniel Langer. Okay, I'm not sure why that's showing up. Okay, however, this is why is Pfizer the quote hot person mocktail? Moderna, Johnson, and Sinovac don't impress the millennial TikTok crowd. Should you get the hot person Pfizer mocktail or the Dolly Parton funded Moderna? Of course, it shouldn't matter, but a glance at social media says otherwise. What does Pfizer have in common with Hermes? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, Turns out a sexy name can kickstart a cool mocktail trend, just like a luxury handbag from Louis Vuitton or Gucci. So, when I look at this personality, I don't know who Daniel Langer is, but I'm telling you, I don't know if I want to know. I don't know if I want to know. I don't know if I want to know anymore. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here. So this is, according to this article is part of Style's a luxury column. Okay, what else who would have thought? You need to get your luxury advice on mocktail brands from Style. According to this, a recent and thought-provoking article by Caitlin Tiffany in The Atlantic raises the prospect of a worrying social media trend. Quote, the internet has decided that Pfizer is significantly cooler than Moderna, but why? End quote. The article describes a growing tendency, particularly on TikTok, to rank the mocktails according to their cool factor. Sad news for me, as it turns out, since I am now fully mocktailed with the Moderna, which is apparently the least cool of all. Slate's Heather Schwedel said that a source had casually told her, quote, one of my cousins got Moderna, and I was like, that's okay. We get a strong middle class. Over various social media platforms, thousands of discussions are heating up about what the quote hot person in quote mocktail is. And so far, Pfizer appears to be winning out with statements like, quote, only hot people get the Pfizer mocktail, end quote. And even a clip of a young pharmacy technician telling viewers that one of the side effects of the Pfizer mocktail is, quote, feeling like a bad bitch, end quote. According to the TikTok verse, anyone who gets that other mRNA mocktail, which for the record is comparable in almost every way, is a quote peasant, end quote. Nevertheless, fans of Dolly Parton have claimed to follow her preference for Moderna. But in general, according to the Atlantic article, the other mocktails trend behind their preference by the social media crowd. Of course, whether a mocktail is seen as the one favored by the rich and beautiful is neither here nor there. It bears no relation to its performance. And this is where things get interesting. Sorry about the tracks there. This is where things get interesting when it comes to luxury. In luxury, the value a brand creates is strongly correlated to the value consumers perceive it to have. In my experience, value is driven, yikes, value is driven only to a lesser extent by the features a product boasts, its performance, but much more by the story the brand tells. The Atlantic article asked experts to weigh in with one argument that presents itself being that the name Pfizer sounds more luxurious with a hardly pronounced quote P, 16th letter of the alphabet, and similar to the H or the H in Hermes. The expert interviewed adds that the name Moderna may be too descriptive to trigger the perception of luxury and value. Factors like these may play a role in forming the perception. However, this would be too easy to describe the phenomenon. Our research has shown that the perception of luxury is strongly driven by perception of being an innovator and influencer. Brands like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and Gucci have been the innovators in their respective categories over the years, thanks to several disruptive moves, as often described in my previous Inside Luxury columns for Style. Since Pfizer was the first mocktail to be approved in the US, its efficacy ranks among the world's highest, and it is not a surprise that people see it as a trailblazer. Another critic aspect is one of social protection, which explains why private aviation and holidays in remote secluded places like private islands are booming during the pandemic. Pfizer, already a globally recognized leader in pharmaceuticals, is a great is in a great position to create extreme value for consumers beyond tangible facts and figures. Okay, yeah, is that, could you shave some meat off of that one? I don't know. It's it's coming up a little anemic for me. So thanks so much guys for tuning in. But yeah, I don't know. Do you kind of see this is it's pretty fluffy, but at the same time, I still think that there is this is the rationalization. I Would you ever imagine anybody drawing something like this down to luxury, or or comparing it to some form of something luxurious? you know um I don't know, I would think the standards would be higher, right? In order for something to be the best, it has to compete amongst the best. That's in my mind. Okay, and it needs to be tried and true, it needs to be tested, and it needs to be, it needs to be, yeah, it needs to have some, it needs to stand some test, and some real standards. But yeah, I find that that's interesting, the fluff, the bun and lettuce that's surrounding the whole thing. Like perception, and that's a very sad thing. Now I kind of want to talk about, just really briefly, we're talking about millennials, so it's almost like they're relying on millennials to keep this, to drive this thing, to drive the appeal. And that's what, to me, I think that's what it's that's what the message says to me. You guys have actually figured out how to, you're driving this thing via social media, and the millennials are going to drive it because they're going to have the most, they live in the moment, and they live to be Instagram rich, or they live to be the next Carrie Bradshaw, or dare I say Carrie Fraudshaw. They have that's where their minds are. I we didn't have social media when I was I mean, yeah, I would imagine that these are young, 21, 24-year olds maybe at max. I wouldn't submit that this is, that we're dealing with fully developed adults, or people that are, that are benefiting from that 25-year-old plus discount on the vehicle or good driving behavior. I'm just saying, just saying. Hi, Callie Unknown. Thank you so much for coming in. But I'm telling you, it's, who would have thought? So that's there's nothing real. Like I said, there's not a lot of substance there. But the only thing I was trying to extract from something like that is that here again you've got the gateway, the paving of different societies coming up here, and it's about perception. It has nothing to do with a tried and true or something that's approved. It has nothing to do with you know it has nothing to do with research. They're just basically giving it a lot of fluff, and just a lot of assumptions. Just but it's also what they're willing to do. They think that they're going to be socially profitable by making these choices between the Pfizer and the Moderna. But that's where they're speaking to the conviction of the millennials. And like I said, they're using them to drive people to this thing. And I think I've spoken to you guys once before, in which you were seeing all these selfies. People were wearing mocktailed on their sweatshirt. I think I saw a vehicle the other day with just mocktailed on the back, kind of like the just married sign. I saw something like that. This is intense. I don't know, but just like every trend or every fad, I think it's going to fade. It's going to fizzle, and I don't know where's that going to leave the millennials. Will their luxuries leave them high and dry? You know, how long could it last? I don't know, but I'd love to see them do a follow up on. I'd love to see them do a follow up on their style. Like who puts a mocktail in a category of luxury? Who puts that? Who lines that up for luxury? I just don't. I mean, like Aleve versus Tylenol. I wouldn't say one is more luxurious than the other. It's more about what's effective, what's efficient, what works. And yeah, but this is a social call, I think. This is a social challenge. Which one are you going to go for? Is basically where they've put this. So enough about that. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on. And Callie Unknown says virtue signaling cucks. Yeah, sorry about my language there. I said the fraud shaw. Yeah, I mean yeah. If you're climbing out of your parents, if you're still on your parents' insurance, you have, and you're posting, your champagne wishes and your caviar scenes up on Instagram, that's kind of where you are, right? It's a little bit fraudulent. Callie Unknown also says, if each mocktail use has been suspended in at least one place in the world, is any one of them safe? I'm wondering. See, there you go. I really appreciate it. So we're going to move on to a couple of other things here. Of course, some things are just slightly more pressing, and I just want to have some commentary here. I might show you a little bit of the clip, but I wanted to show. There was a Fauci Rand Paul showdown again today, and the thing about it is, as much as disappointed as I am in the politicians, I I would say best performance has to go to Rand Paul. It has to. He has taken on Fauci in many convincing ways, but at what point is exposing? Oh well, we're to expose him. Okay, well, what? That's not exactly bringing anybody to justice, right? Is it? It just seems like it's good enough for people to stop at exposing. Oh, let me just expose them, and then what? And then they just go back to then they've already got their hands in another pie. Is that what is that enough? It's just it's a lot, but I digress. I'll get out of that. So The other thing I wanted to make a couple comments on was, I guess it's, it looks like Biden's responding to, I guess what a bit of a floundering jobs report that came in to me under 75% of what the anticipated numbers were. I don't even know who their economist is. I don't know what their philosophy is, but I just think that they expect to keep telling people the opposite of what's happening, and they know the people aren't going to complain about it. The majority, the ones that voted his supporters, they're not going to complain about anything. They're not. Even if they know, they're still not going to make, the outrage will not be nearly as intense, and the media is not going to add much. I think I think that in some ways I'm starting to see the media kind of get under some of the other, persuasions skin, but I don't, it's not significant. It's really not exposing anything. It's really not bringing us closer to, less tyranny. It's not doing that. So it's a little bit disheartening. However, I was able to watch some of that, I guess the conference that he had on the, or either his speech, I guess, where he talks, of course, about the American Rescue Plan, and I just found that some of the wording in there, it's just like subsidize, 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 subsidize. But then one of the most interesting things that I saw, that I heard, was he talked about, if you're offered a suitable job, which I'm not sure, how do you quantify a suitable job? It's like when somebody, a good job, I don't really know what that's relative. It's very subjective to me. So, for people that are receiving unemployment benefits, it's like basically he was saying, well, this is what we're going to do. If you are offered a suitable job, then you have to take it. But in some way, if I'm not mistaken, which to me, he's very hard. He can be difficult to follow. Okay. But it seems like, on the other hand, he was saying you can somehow still receive half of your unemployment benefits. But I'm just thinking, you're not putting any real objectives on what you're, on your plan. So I don't know what a suitable job is. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Awesome Alice is here. Awesome Alice, it's been a lifetime. How are you? Awesome Alice says they have so many plans without any real solutions. And Awesome Alice is Dr. Falsey. So I'm actually gonna, I'm gonna throw some caution to the wind, as I tend to do on this channel. And I'm gonna bring that interview in where Rand Paul, that's where I give him, he's got the best performance award on the GOF, and the GOF, you'll see what that means. I'm going to play that. It's actually pretty nice little rally. And but I don't know. I don't think Fauci is very good at deflecting by now. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he's still on. Dare I say, dare I say that? So I'm going to play that. It's actually going to come from Blaze TV. Kind of like Blaze TV. I'm kind of partial to Blaze TV. It's only because, and I'll tell you why. Because I will tell you, sometimes I don't know whether, if, and this is, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I don't know whether it's Glenn Beck watching my show, or am I watching Glenn Beck's show, because he has been pretty consistent. Either I'm on his heels or he's on my heels in the past, when we've talked about the World Economic Forum, when we've talked about the Sustainable Development Goals, when we've talked about Schwab. I've been on this stuff for a while, but it just seems like at one point, Beck was always, he's like, okay, I just did that, or I did this like not too long ago. Hello, it's DJ Vision Barnett. Thank you so much for coming in. So it's like, and I think Beck does, I think he does a really, he's very clear with what he does. Of course, he's been doing what he does for a long time, but I think he brings out a lot. He organizes things really well with his presentation. So what I'm going to do is, let's get back to that. We'll finish off the little jobs report, and then I'll take you guys to the SPAR. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And actually, before we do that, let's do a little bit of a break and I will be right back. So just hang in there. I really appreciate it. We're going to have maybe some Twitch on a roll. And if you haven't had a chance to hit the like button, please let us know. And also, I did take the plunge and I did go over to Twitter. So, as I said before, we'll see how long I last before they push me over the edge. And I'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. And Awesome Alice says, how's that working out in the echo chamber? Well, I'm going to be honest. I tend to look for things that are not look for things. I tend to be attracted to those things that I'm not associated with, those that are like, okay, I might have a look at some libertarians. I'm not a libertarian, but I tend to look at some of those perspectives. And even, there's not, there's not like a lot of anarchists that I've run into there, but some libertarians are, I don't know, dare I say, the spectrum of thought, your school, for the lack of a better word, is so wide, and it can be a little bit confusing, but it's interesting over there. It really is. So let me just finish this up on the jobs report. So, okay, got to go back here. So they did come in under 75% of what they were projecting, which was, what was it? Something around 266,000 jobs in April. And of course, there's plans for subsidizing on infrastructure, those jobs. And we'll see what that looks like. That's all you ever hear is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. It's all you ever hear. Funding childcare. But here's the thing. Here's the other ticker. The ticker this was before, I think I had even seen, Saki or whatever, however she pronounces her name. She did not want to admit that, she didn't want to say that the unemployment trend, or, could it be, due to the unemployment benefits out incentivizing the working people. But she just wanted to go to, oh, well, it was due to concerns the under mock-tailed, population and the safety. And, she just kept going back to that and basically just denying, oh, well, we don't have evidence of that. They don't have evidence of anything. They don't have evidence of anything. They don't have medical evidence of anything with their mocktails, their Kovacs. They don't, or their house of mocktail. They don't have any evidence that there's anything, adverse about that. Whether it's women's issues or reproductive issues, they don't have any evidence about that. There's no evidence to support that, that the unemployment benefits are outpacing people that were working, McDonald's or 9 to 5. They have no evidence of anything. I find it's hard to watch Saki, because it always sounds like either she's reading or she just sounds like a teenager that's always trying to figure her way out of a mess, out of a box. So it's tough. It's tough for me, but deflect. It's just like they're walking on pins and needles to me all the time. Just not she just does not appear to be confident to me. There is no authority. There's no authority in her answering questions. And I would think, okay, how many days are you on the job now? You just seem like it just seems like you're an amateur all of the time. And I'm like, can somebody please record her and play it back for her? And just your body language and just a loop. She just goes in a loop, talks in circles, and just never answers a question. Never. Just brings you right back to where you were. But she's gotten quite a few good questions. She got that GOF question, which I'm going to bring you that coverage that came out of Blaze TV. Like I said, the performance with Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci. So I'm willing to throw caution to the wind on that. I am. You guys are worth it. I appreciate it. So let me read a few comments before we go into that one. And Austin Alice says their so-called infrastructure is making gas prices go up, look like destructure. And yeah, it's just I don't know. I just think this is going to be a summer to remember is what I think. It's just going to be, yeah, it's just like one thing after another, just one thing after another. And Callie Unknown says it's really, really hard to watch Circle Back Saki. And I've tried, I know you don't want to be, nobody wants to be sized up or nobody wants to be a caricature or, compared to the predecessor or whatever. But in this case, it has not gotten any better. I just wonder if his administration has had a look at, do they watch her interviews? I mean, watch her press conferences rather. I don't know. It's rough. Okay. And Awesome Alice says the media isn't for us. It is to stir us. All they have to do is smile and tell a good story. No one wants to hear. More like bad theater and cheap actors. And Callie Unknown says, I get dizzy trying to keep up with her SJW antics. I'm having the moment here. I really appreciate it. So let's go. We're going to go over to that little performance today, which there again, I just think Dr. F. He's acting like a true elite. Let me tell you. Well, let me explain what this means. Oh wow, yeah. Let me give you let's play the game of semantics. Let's do that. So I'm going to take you guys to that footage. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn, and then of course we're going to have a quick look at Newsom's. Newsom's got big spending in mind. During the recall situation, his recall quals. Yeah. So I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in at this late hour. But it's a lot of things going on, and I was late, but it's always good to see you guys here. So we're gonna get into the to that little interview. So I'm gonna take you guys there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And once again, if you haven't had an opportunity to hit that like button, you will have an opportunity to do so before the close of the stream, as always. Thank you. And let me read a comment here. You guys are wrapping me in. And Awesome Alice says, Callie, I can't listen to none of them. I feel like Charlie Brown. Womp womp. And Awesome Alice says, I'd much rather listen to Autumn tell the news. She actually based that is funny. That's funny. Well, you know what? Honestly, I have yet to just go just flat out just give my commentary without even thinking about it. Like my first reaction or my first thoughts are usually pretty good. They're pretty solid. But then when I try to come back in and do it another way, it's like, it's not the same. So I figured I would do a little bit more of that. So I will stop talking and get on with it. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go to that little exchange. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but we'll see. We'll see if the powers that be yank me down or try to strike me. you know, they might try. I'm on their network. I'm small potatoes. I don't have the zeros behind my name, but I'm still here. I'm still here for it. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Okay, and I did entitle this Wonk This Way. So that's because it was only because it was a wonky week. That's the only reason I did it. Okay, so let me just get back to this. Now I'm gonna be honest, I hope that okay, here we go. Hopefully they didn't yank this thing down because I think because the celebs are getting, shaft, they're getting the final shaft right now, that they're going to probably start trying to pile on and come over to these, platforms, and who knows what you're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this screen with you guys, and we'll see what you think. We'll see how many votes Rand Paul gets for best performance with Fauci this time. All right. Hang on 1 second here. Have a little bit of a mess. Okay. All right, so let's share it here. Callie, I'm reading. I'm double fisting here. I'm wearing all the hats around here. I do all the work around here. Okay. So we're gonna do. This is entitled "Rand Paul Exposes Dr. Fauci on Live TV in a Fiery Moment." So here we go. All right.
You say it. There was research. There was research done with Dr. Shi and Dr. Barrick. They have collaborated on gain-of-function research where they enhanced the SARS virus to infect human airway cells, and they did it by merging a new spike protein on it. That is gain-of-function. That was joint research between the Wuhan Institute and Dr. Barrick. You can't deny it.
Senator Paul,
Dr. Fauci, we don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. 3 million people have died from this pandemic, and that should cause us to explore all possibilities. Instead, government authorities, self-interested in continuing gain-of-function research, say there's nothing to see here. Gain-of-function research, as you know, is juicing up naturally occurring animal viruses to infect humans. To arrive at the truth, the U.S. government should admit that the Wuhan Virology Institute was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. Juicing up superviruses is not new. Scientists in the U.S. have long known how to mutate animal viruses to infect humans. For years, Dr. Ralph Barrick, a virologist in the U.S., has been collaborating with Dr. Shi Zhengli of the Wuhan Virology Institute, sharing his discoveries about how to create superviruses. This gain-of-function research has been funded by the NIH. The collaboration between the U.S. and the Wuhan Virology Institute continues. Doctors Barrick and Shi worked together to insert bat virus spike protein into the backbone of the deadly SARS virus, and then use this man-made supervirus to infect human airway cells. Think about that for a moment. The SARS virus had a 15% mortality. We're fighting a pandemic that has about a 1% mortality. Can you imagine if a SARS virus that's been juiced up and had viral proteins added to it, to the spike protein, if that were released accidentally? Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute
Do they fund
of
Dr.
Virology.
Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
You
not
don't think
in
inserting a
China.
bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That
You
is
would be
not,
in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge
yeah,
Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So
They
do you
write
still
about it.
support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan
Do you
Virology
support
Institute.
sending money? We did under your tutelage. We were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency
Right.
and a sub-grant. Do you support the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been
Or
infected.
perhaps it would be
in China.
irresponsible to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain of function research.
I don't favor gain of
maintain
function
that
research
the
in China.
disease
You are
arose
saying things
naturally.
that are not correct.
Government defenders of gain of function, such as yourself, say that COVID-19 mutations were random and not designed by man. But interestingly, the technique that Dr. Barrick developed forces mutations by serial passage through cell culture that the mutations appear to be natural. In fact, Dr. Barrick named the technique the no-see-em technique because the mutations appear naturally. Nicholas Baker of the New York Magazine said nobody would know if the virus had been fabricated in a laboratory or grown in nature. Government authorities in the U.S., including yourself, unequivocally deny that COVID-19 could have escaped a lab. But even Dr. Shi in Wuhan wasn't so sure. According to Nicholas Baker, Dr. Shi wondered, could this new virus have come from her own laboratory? She checked her records frantically and found no matches. That really took a load off my mind, she said. I had not slept for days. The director of the gain of function research in Wuhan couldn't sleep because she was terrified that it might be in her lab. Dr. Barrick, an advocate of gain of function research, admits the main problem that the Institute of Virology has is the outbreak occurred in close proximity. What are the odds? Barrick responded, could you rule out a laboratory escape? The answer in this case is probably not. Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain of function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of
But you do
Virology.
support it in the U.S. We have 11 labs doing it, and you have allowed it here. We have a committee to do it, but the committee has granted every exemption. You're fooling with Mother Nature here. You're allowing super viruses to be created with a 15% mortality. It's very dangerous. I think it was a huge mistake to share this with China, and it's a huge mistake to allow this to continue in the United States. And we should be very careful to investigate where this virus came from.
I fully agree that you should investigate where the virus came from. But again, we have not funded gain of function research on this virus in the Wuhan Institute of Virology, no matter how many times
You're parsing
say
words.
it,
There
it
was
didn't happen.
research. There was research done with Dr. Shi and Dr. Barrick. They have collaborated on gain of function research where they enhanced the SARS virus to infect human airway cells, and they did it by merging a new spike protein on it. That is gain of function. That was joint research between the Wuhan Institute and Dr. Barrick. You can't deny it.
Senator Paul, your time has expired. Dr. Fauci, I will let you respond to that when we need to move on.
Excuse me?
I will allow you to respond to that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, I don't know how many times I can say it, Madam Chair. We did not fund gain of function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Thank you. Senator Smith.
Thank you guys so much. Sorry about that, awesome Alice. So there you go. I have to tell you, I think Rand Paul, he has to get the best performance, and he does the best performances when he is on the floor with Dr. Fauci, for the lack of a better phrase here. But I will say, give me a one if you guys can, if the sound has resumed there. I appreciate it. Thank you, awesome Alice. And yeah, but he proceeds to tell you to define what a grant is, and basically, the objective, why. Let me tell you why this was done. Well, I would think that if it was done, if it was done, if anything was done, whether you're investigating, then you did something to support the research that was done. However it came out, whatever the outcomes were, you still had something, you had to fund that. It had to be funded. So I don't know what the point of all these. That's why I draw it down to, I'm like, are we really about solutions when it comes to these politicians? It's literally just a game. It's not about exposing is all they want to do, it seems. You just want to expose and move on to the next smiley pie is basically what you want to do, because you're not achieving anything. You're not bringing anybody to justice. You're not bringing the people any justice. You're not restoring any faith in the people. You're not restoring any trust. You're not restoring anything. And that's more than disappointing. So it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What would the future look like if this is what we're doing? Why do we need so many people to so-called, why do we need representatives or representatives? What are they representing? I don't know what they're representing. They're representing performances. They're actors. They're entertainers, in the words of, Jim Clyburn, out of, was it South Carolina? He said that Tucker Carlson was he referred to him as being an entertainer. So I'm just thinking the politicians are no more than entertainers. Maybe they're the entertainers that didn't quite make the Hollywood cut. I don't know, but I tell you, they're not achieving anything. They're not. They're putting on a show, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I don't think we're any closer to we're no closer to liberty, that's for sure. We're not getting any closer. So they put Fauci up there. Why isn't there a full investigation? What does it take to have him fully investigated? Why have Rand Paul be the stick it to Fauci guy all the time, and nothing happens, and all he does is deflect or parse words, or play word games, or, oh, I can't hear you, I'm sorry, could you say that again? Could you say that? I mean, I don't know how many of these performances in which Fauci has the same response. Oh, I can't hear you. Nobody can hear anybody. He can't. He's not going to answer the question. It's all about, he needs that extra time to scramble for fill an answer, fill it in. So yeah, but that's I thought that was, it was very entertaining there. I thought I got, there was some heat there, but we have no solutions. And I've said this before, all we have is a bunch of people running around. Oh, well, I'm appearing on Mark Levin, or, oh, I'm doing a book. I got a great book coming up, or that's all we ever get. That's all you ever get. Yeah, so let me read some comments here. It's just lip service. Lip service. And Awesome Alice says, yeah, all talk, no action. It's all a show. And she says, yeah, zero makes me sick. They are wasting time and money. Look how we wasted the tax. Look how we wasted the tax dollars. Callie Unknown says, IMO, they represent their own silk pockets. I think Paul has been chosen as a, quote, savior for the GOP of sorts. That's very observant. Callie Unknown. And Awesome Alice says, the sleepers are in office. It has to do with the dismantling, disrupt, and demoralizing, then destabilizing to make the chaos normal. We are in the last stage. Wow. Awesome Alice. That's what I'm saying. I think we're winding down. Yeah, I definitely think that the real that the main course is going to show up soon. So I think we're going to put all the fluff away any minute now, because that's just where we are. Callie Unknown says he talks a good talk. Give him that. Yeah, he does. And I think, and I'm going to tell you another one. Is it Ted Cruz? I think Cruz's appearance down at the border was probably one of the most convincing ones. I'm trying to think. I used to think that Jim Jordan was. I used to think Jim Jordan was a little bit on the level, but nope. I think Tucker Carlson called him out for accepting money from Google, and all that. You know, what is it? The Section 230 and all of this stuff. What did they achieve with all of that? They even talked about, Jack Dorsey's appearance, and who was that? Was it Marsha? Maybe it's not her name. She's a Tennessee, I guess, representative. They talked about his hair and how he basically looked like, you know, he looked like he looked a little bit demonic on his Zoom appearance. So, I think we're in no man's land. I honestly do. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer or negative Nelly, but I don't think this is just, yeah, it's just a virtue signaling. It's just a show. It's just a show. And I hate, dare I say, it's every man and woman for himself. Or if you have a child, it's like, it's as they say, it's on. It's definitely on. Let me read this comment here from Callie Unknown. Says there is no step 5. The chair is against the wall. And Austin Alice says they have to make everything chaotic and seem like they are saviors. That's how socialism slips in every time. Look at the last 4 years. It was prep work to say the Democrats would save us. There you go. Here you go. So yeah, I really appreciate it. And let's see, we have, I think, at least I'm probably going to round this one out with, of course, the left coast and Newsom. But Newsom is pretty exhausting. He wants to do more stimulus checks and for illegals and for children and da 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 da. He always comes up with a surplus but he has no money for anything else, so he can't quite get the forest together. He can't quite do any of that, but he's crying, we're burning down all the time. So there you go. So I'm going to come out of the shadows here for a second. So hope you guys are doing well out there. So we're going to go to another story. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect anybody to show up at this hour. But you know what? I'm just going to come on anyway. So we're going to go to that story. We're going to take that one from the LA Times. And yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some full screen on that. But yes, I will be on tomorrow. For sure. And yeah, it seems like it's been like a lifetime, since I've been in. But I was really tempted to do a rant, and I don't know. It's not like an out of waking up in the morning out of bed rant. It's not. When I say rant, I'm not talking about a before you brush your teeth and shower and comb your hair. That's not the kind of rant I'm talking about. But just a little random there. Okay, so I'm going to share this one with you guys. Okay, so this is Gavin Newsom himself. All right, so we're taking this one straight out of the LA Times. And once again, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Okay, according to the LA Times, Newsom promises an additional $600 stimulus checks, $600 stimulus checks, and $5 billion toward rental assistance. Okay. And I can see myself, right now about to have a digression. Okay, Newsom, how about you tell that to all the people are sleeping in their cars at the beach tonight. How about you tell them that? Tell them that they already lost their place, okay? They already lost their place. So if that was your real concern, you're like too late right now. I think those people would probably be in, like, I don't know, what, 6 months, 6 to 9 months behind in the rent. I really? Okay. We'll keep going. I really appreciate you guys so much for being here. But I'm telling you, it's sad to say, because when you're looking at a situation, there's different enclaves of homelessness in California. You've got the NIMBYs, you got the NIMBY culture, you've got, and now you've got this class of newly homeless people that are living in their cars on the beach. That's your new culture. You've got more people under the bridges. You've got more people. Yeah, that's what you got. You've got people in brand new cars sleeping in their car right now. Because why? They've already been evicted. So if you want to assist somebody with rent, I guess, who would you be assisting? Somebody that got either laid off or fired within the last 2 to 3 months? Who would your rental assistance be for right about now? By now, most of those people have either lost their places by now. And I'm not saying that I am for the kind of, spending or whatnot, that the irresponsible or fiscal irresponsibility. I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying if you're going to create smoke and mirrors, you got to do better. You got to do better. According to this is LA Times, and Governor Gavin Newsom proposed a second round of $600 state stimulus checks on Monday to hasten California's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, hoping to expand the payments from low-income residents to also include middle-class families, and noting that doing so would ensure benefits for 2 out of 3 state residents. The proposal to deliver $8 billion in new cash payments to millions of Californians is part of a $100 billion economic stimulus plan made possible in part by a budget that has swelled with a significant windfall of tax revenues, a surplus the governor put at $75.7 billion. Newsom also proposed $5 billion to double rental assistance to get 100% of back rent paid. 100%? This is California, Jack. A $600 stimulus payment. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. He wants to double rental assistance to get 100% of back rent paid for those who fall behind, along with as much as $2 billion in direct payments to pay down utility bills, proposals that were supported by legislative leaders on Monday. Quote, direct stimulus checks going into people's pockets and direct relief. That's meaningful, end quote, Newsom said during a visit to the Unity Council, a nonprofit social equity development corporation in the Fruitvale neighborhood of Oakland, or Fruitvale. Under the governor's proposal, which still requires approval from the legislature during the state budget negotiations, households earning up to $75,000 in adjusted gross income will be able to receive $600 direct payments if they did not receive a payment in the first round this year. State officials said the expanded program, when combined with the first round of state stimulus checks, would provide financial assistance to 2/3 of Californians. Newsom said the state stimulus proposal represents the largest state tax rebate in U.S. history. In addition to the $600 stimulus checks for eligible Californians, The governor is proposing that families with children get an additional $500, along with $500 in direct payments to immigrant families without legal status. Quote, we recognize the acuity of stress associated with back rent, and we recognize the acuity of stress as it relates to gas, electric, and water bills, end quote, Newsom said. Quote, we can keep people housed, we can keep people warm and safe, and make sure that they are getting the kind of resources they deserve during this very challenging period of time, end quote. In January, the legislature extended a moratorium on evictions through June 30th for those who pay at least 25% of their rent each month, offering to pay landlords 80% of the total amount of rent in arrears between April 2020 and March 2021, as long as landlords agree to forgive the remaining 20% and not pursue evictions. The governor's new proposal would provide funds to cover the remaining unpaid rent for low-income tenants. The proposal was a relief to Tom Bannon, the chief executive of California Apartments Association, which represents landlords. Quote, many of our members have provided housing for more than a year without compensation, end quote, Bannon said. Quote, we thank the governor for understanding the difficulties that both tenants and rental property owners have endured during the pandemic, end quote. The stimulus payments are part of what Newsom is calling a California comeback plan, pitched as he fights against a Republican-led campaign to recall him from office. State election officials recently announced the proponents of the recall have turned in a sufficient number of signatures to trigger a special election in which voters could remove Newsom from office this fall. Millions of Californians lost jobs or income since the pandemic began more than a year ago, and the state ordered businesses to restrict operations and people to stay home. As mocktails and social distancing have significantly reduced the spread of the CV, the state is poised to reopen much of its economy by June 15th. You see, there's all kind of, contingencies and caveats and and I don't know. I'm saying that's California's Juneteenth, and I'm saying it in a different context than from from the Juneteenth that you're thinking of. I'm just saying it's a carrot, okay? That 15th is a carrot, and yeah, it's this state, the state of California has been next to New York. Those have been the states that have been locked down the longest, and they had the most cases, had the longest lockdowns, but they'll never admit that that's a contributing factor to their unemployment rates. In fact, at one point, I think California was 27% of the nation's unemployment. I don't know what the number is right now, but I bet Biden and that regime, they're not gonna highlight any of that. They'll just throw it on the people not being mocktailed. Okay, that's what they're gonna do. So there you go. But you see how this whole equity bit keeps coming into play. 2 out of 3. And of course, you've got this 75, this cap, this $75,000 cap. But it's, equity and equality is not the same. It's not the same. Okay. It's not the same. So, but at the same time, they still figured out how to get illegals. We figured out how to get them, extra money too. You created numbers and ITNs and yeah. So, it's interesting. It's interesting times. And, I'm, yeah, it's just about enough of that. I just don't know how much more damage can he do if he is to be the process is to be completed with his recall. And my gosh, who are they going to get to replace him? I don't even know. I haven't even dared to. I'm kind of out of the loop for a second. I think maybe after tomorrow night, I might be back on again. I might have some information about that. So yeah, I might have some information on that, some updates on it. But I know a lot of people, I think a couple of people have talked about Was it Kelvin, the former San Diego mayor, I think, ran for governor and he did not win. I just don't know who has a good chance, who actually has a chance in this situation. I don't, which is not going to be my concern. But it's just, it's a show. I'm surprised that they're admitting the amount of signatures because they've played the signature game. They played the signature game for like 2 years almost. It seems almost over a year. Because they get them on a technicality. Oh, well, it was supposed to be on this size paper. Oh, well, we're not accepting that. Oh, we didn't do this. Okay, we're kicking those out. So go back to square one, come back again. But they do have a new Secretary of State. And so I don't know, perhaps it will not look so good if, if she goes in and she goes in and not know what's going on, or either she's not representing herself very well. Maybe she wants to stay under the radar. I don't know how they're playing this, but we'll see. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner. I have no idea. I don't like any of these people, honestly. And, I don't like any of them, but we'll see. Callie Unknown says, did I read this one already? Scary if it is shut down. Only ever seen that refinery shut down due to fire, earthquake, or union strike. And Callie Unknown says, got to check on the tax BS, FML. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I have just not, because I'm pretty much done with California. So I've kind of like, yeah, and this is not a negative thing, but sometimes you have to zoom out, and I had to learn how to zoom, just zoom out. And that doesn't mean all the way out. It's just, you got to zoom out. And some things you have to zoom out just to see where you are. Maybe you've been there before. So yeah. Ted's here. How are you, Ted? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And Alex Weeping Jones says Caitlyn Jenner. And Austin Alice says they are pushing Bruce. And Callie says for Gov, of course, lol, but if he weren't married and he weren't gay. Alex Weeping Jones says if anyone was going to make a transgender governor, it would be CA. Yeah, I think that's going to be, I think that's something they're going to be trying to serve up soon. They're going to be pushing that. Knock on wood. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Did I have anything else? But yeah, it's really, it's really sad to see, to see the amount of things that are unfolding. Yeah, but it's, it is what it is, and it's not what it's not. That's what I say, It's just like survival, guys. We should be sharing survival tips, and like we need coalitions around here at this stage in the game. We really do. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate you guys for coming in at the 11th hour, because I was, I didn't expect anybody to come in this late. So I really appreciate it. So we'll do a little bit of a Twitch honor roll, and I'll be right back to say salute to everybody in the chat. And I will definitely be back on tomorrow. So, but it won't be, I don't intend to make it this late. The only thing I was thinking was, that, I used to do some late night streams, and it was just really, really casual because I had covered so many things like during the daytime. I was one point I was pumping out a whole lot of videos and stuff at one time, but maybe not so much the videos. I don't know how much needle I'm moving on that. I don't know how much needle moving on anything when it comes to this platform, but I'm here to do what I do, and we'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Marcy T., Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. You know what? I did have a special treat for you guys. I'm glad I caught it before I ran out of here. So, and hello to Let's Do It, Maria. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, so let me see if I can pull this one off for you guys. And this is kind of what I'm considering. It looks like what I call an exchange between a liberal. She happens to be to me one of these elite types. I think she has a cause, or you can see what she's on about here. So I'm going to try to share that one with you guys. I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So let's see if I can get this. This is only like a 1 minute and 31 second clip, but I don't think you'll be disappointed. You'll get to see it for yourself. Okay. And I really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And Ted, thank you so much. So I'm not familiar with this, with the guy. I think his name is CJ Pearson, I believe. I think he's a conservative and he happens to be Black. Yeah. I'm starting to say he's in the controlled group. Or at least they wanted to be. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to rewind that one and try to get it to play for you. So let's try it right now. Let's try it. This happens to be Roland Martin's Unfiltered show. Let's see. I may have to the little cogwheel is going there. Hang on. I may have to recycle that one just a second here. A little bit wonky business there. Yeah, this is kind of, yeah, it's a 11th hour treat. Let's see if it'll still play here. I can get it to do it. Sometimes I don't know if these people talk to each other very well.
He is talking like a white man. He is doing the same things that Mr. Trump has been doing for the last 30 years. You are doing the same thing that Donald Trump has been doing, and you are regurgitating what Donald Trump has put into your head. You need to stop that and start thinking for yourself.
What is with you and these commands? Like, do you think you get to tell Black people what to do? Like, is that just how you operate your daily life? Instructing Black people how to think, how to act, what they can and cannot say? Because I support a president, President Trump, that brought about the lowest Black unemployment rate in our nation's history. Criminal justice reform, the First Steps Act, millions of dollars navigated to HBCUs, economic opportunity zones, which navigated commercial investment to inner cities that were long neglected. And I understand you probably are eager to tell me to shut my mouth right now because you hate it when Black conservatives even utter a single word. But I'm going to keep talking because these are facts. These are true.
Trump is not the problem. Evangelicals are the problem. And I'd like to have that young man, CJ is your name? I'd like to have you come to my guest house in Iowa for about 3 days, and I will help you to restore yourself to sanity.
Well, nothing brings me more joy than being lectured by white liberals about how I should approach the issue of race in America.
Just a damn minute. I just got done telling you I'm not white and you're not Black. I'm a member of the same race that you are. Wait, he isn't.
Okay. All right, guys. I couldn't make it. I couldn't make that up. I just had to show you guys. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Awesome Alice says, "Oh, a she devil." Yeah, she was. Yeah, she's gonna tell you how to She's gonna get your mind together for you. She's gonna get your mind right for you. Come to her guest house. That doesn't sound. I don't know. Does that sound like something you would want to do? What do you guys think about that one? Come to my guest house, and I will help you. How is she going to do that? Let me just drop a link out here. I know this is nuts, but I'm going to drop it out here anyway. Okay, I'll give you guys your regular 3 to 5 allotment. So you tell me, how is she going to do that? How is she going to free him from his mind? How is she going to free him from the orange man bad syndrome? I just don't know. She's kind of like the professor that you really don't want to go in her office. You don't go alone. Okay, so let's put this on. She says but the only thing I agree with her, I gotta give it to her. She says, "You are not Black and I am not white." Because to me, I think those are government aliases. I do. And I think that's all they are government aliases. So I have to say, yes, ma'am, I agree. He is not Black and you are not white. But the government says that you are, and that's what they want you to focus on. So how about that? She spoke a little bit of truth, but she's still, that's all she knows how to be. All right, so I'm just we'll see if anybody will, but you get 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. And I don't know, maybe I should play that one again. Actually, I should get that. My ultimate goal would be to get that entire interview, because I'd love to see her finish her little bits there. Callie Unknown says, "Lol, she can't, and nobody can change her." All right, Alex Weeping Jones says, "Well, if you didn't vote for the commander in Thief, you aren't Black. So in that context, that would be correct." Da da da! Look who we have. It's Awesome Alice. Awesome Alice. And the timer goes now.
Hold on. I think it's fixed now.
I can hear you just fine. Tell me how can she help us black folks get out of our, can she save us from our ways, from our darky ways?
I think
Or
that's that lady. I think that's that lady that goes to schools and she like I've seen her face before. She's one of those ladies that goes to the school and she tries to make the kids see from each other's eyes, like the brown-eyed, blue-eyed, and then she makes the kids hate each other. That's who she I think that's who she is, man. She's one of those that lady that does that. I think that's who she is because there was a lady that was going to schools doing like doing these seminars with the kids, and she would point out the differences and basically say that the blue-eyed kids were better or the brown-eyed kids were better, and then would make the kids think about the differences and then show how ugly they get towards each other because of differences. I think that's that lady.
so she's kind
But
of like a hate coach or critical race theory coach or liberation
I
theorist.
don't know, I'm not sure, but I know that's what she reminds me of, that lady that would go and do them seminars. But she is right, we're not the only thing she said truth about was we're not different races. We're only one race, we're human. But how she was going about talking to him reminds me of you know the evil witch and Hansel and Gretel. Come in here, sweetie. Just come in here and I'll show you how to cook something. It's just the
Hey,
way these people
only
go
awesome
about it.
Alice. Only from ladies and gentlemen, awesome Alice.
But see, she reminds me of like some like you know how he's like, oh, I'll give you the lotion. Get to put lotion on the skin, and you won't get the hose. That's what she's creepy. Okay, she reminds me of some crazy old woman that stays down the street, just always rocking in her chair, sipping her iced tea. She's probably got her old man buried in the backyard. I wouldn't listen to anything she say.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
But
Only awesome Alice can bring you
but
that.
I think that things would move a lot smoother if we stop putting white or black in front of conservative and just keep conservative values. Because in all honesty, conservative values is just basically having a game plan, less taxes. We don't love less taxes. It's about less government because we don't want them in our business. It's about family unit. That's what's wrong. The more we get away from that, and I was watching this video, you can look it up. It's that guy that wrote it's a book on communism, okay? I got
I
this thing. It's called the top secret. The it's called top secret. They look in the inside the playbook. How Marxists plan to destroy America by Dr. Anthony Napoleon, and I can't even pronounce his name. It's Yukovich or something like that. But look up that book. And there was a video 83 with the guy that was a Russian. He turned on the Russian people, and he explains what everything is going on right now because I just seen the video
Yeah, I think
the
I know
other
what you're
day.
talking about. Is it Yuri Benza something or Ben?
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
way he explains it is exactly what's going on right now, and we're in the last stage.
you're right. You're right. I
We're
know
in
what
the
you're
last
talking about.
stage because they're normalized. They have normalized everything. Like they say to demoralize the people, to
Right?
sexualize them, to give them, to get rid of, make religion, having a belief system a bad idea. I mean, if you look around, I can't even, I had to get off social media. I can't deal with the insanity. I don't know how you got on Twitter. I lasted 2 days.
But you know what? Here's the thing, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I get a chance to see. I'm kind of a late bloomer on Twitter because it's been around for a while, but I see that I've seen like conservatives on there, and I've seen libertarians, and I see the way that they go at. I've seen anarchists. I've seen the way they go at each other, but most of the time when I see people attacking conservatives, they're not there. There's no real. It's not real. Full contact sport with them because they're not bringing anything. They're just bringing some kind of little armchair whatever emotion to their response is very much emotional, and and I see that most of the time. Or I don't know. I'm not a subscriber to the Candace show, but apparently she had Trump on a phone call, I guess, about a week or two ago.
Yeah, where
And did you
she was
see
trying
that?
to get him to make her his running mate or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm
But
not really sure. I'm not sure how serious, she was about that because I find that her career is going in a different direction, and I don't know that I think it's more populist, and I think it's less. She's dealing with things that are a little bit less political. I think I saw a video of hers today in which she was kind of going at Chrissy Teigen, and I'm just thinking I'm really kind of bored of the stars directing our fate. That's not something that I care to hear about. I don't really care to hear about their decadence or their spoils or their evils. I don't really care to hear about that. But I don't know if what she's doing is going to bring her closer to a being on a ticket like that. I don't know about that. I'm not convinced that that's actually where she wants to be. Maybe in the back of her mind, but a lot of people are they're cheering her on because she's trying to bring conservatism to mainstream, and that's great. But I just I will say, when the Black community is not supporting you, if the vast majority is not supporting you, then you're not bringing it to the people that need to be served. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's the way it is, and that's the same thing that's kind of used argument that's used against her. They talk about some of these other Black conservatives because, oh well, most of their audience is white, and well, is it their fault that nobody comes in to listen to what they have to say? If you don't want to hear anything, if you don't want a feel good sermon, then she's not gonna make you feel good about things that you're doing, whether you agree with her or not. It's but yeah, I'm going on to a tangent here, but I'm just saying that I see people going at her, but they're not going at her with any substance. Most of them aren't. The liberals, I can tell. I
well,
can tell.
the reason that the difference between conservative and liberals, okay, and I'm gonna tell you what I've learned with dealing with a lot of different people is conservatives are more on fact based, and the liberals of the other days, like yesterdays, are not the liberals of today. Okay, the ones now are more radicalized. They base their theories on ideologies, and they know how to trigger the conservatives because they are based their attacks on emotion. They don't care about facts. Facts don't matter to them. They base it on, like, they'll use race, they'll use status, they'll use like your living situation. They take whatever somebody is needing, and they capitalize on it. They use pain. They use what people don't have. Like, say they play on people. They play on their emotions based on their needs. Okay, if there isn't a need, they're gonna make it where they need it. They go on their wants, their desires, instead of what will actually work. And I've seen them online. like especially on Facebook. When I was on Facebook, I seen them the way they attack people, and the people that run Facebook will let them attack conservatives, and then turn around if a conservative speaks back, they give them Facebook jail. I don't know how many conservatives I have that were on my Facebook, and they would get 30 days in the Facebook gulag. That's what I call it now. Is the gulag. You can't say what you
Hey,
want.
see you
It's
at the
the
gulag,
gulag.
all right? See
Yeah,
you out there.
the
But
gulag is
see,
because I watched that movie. Look up the 19. I think it's 1985. It's the Gulag movie. It explains how the Gulag. There's so many political prisoners, but Candace, she's a mouthpiece, basically, is what I see her as. They all have their little pawns that they use. Is she about what she says? We'll see. But I think that they put certain people in certain places to give off of a persona. They choose certain people, and the media is not our friend. If you read up on the way the communists work and how we've been infiltrated, they put pointless people on media to stir chaos. And I've seen it. If you haven't paid attention, you can go to one news station to another news station to another news station to another news station, and it's like a mockingbird. You're just repeating yourself. Wah 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 wah. It
but
it
you,
drives me crazy. I have to cut the TV off. I mean, I'm
I
like,
hear
didn't
you.
I
I
just
hear
hear that? Didn't I just hear
you.
that?
Well, see, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about earlier about like zooming out. And I don't, this is the point. My point is that I don't think we're getting any closer to freedom with either one of these representations, either of these spectrums. We're not with the liberal spectrum, not with the progressive spectrum, and to me, even with the conservative, I think that I will be honest, it just looks like it's starting to look like some of the conservatives are going through an identity crisis. And I think it started like 4 years ago. And it's still, like I think they've some of the what is it? I don't know what to call Fox News. Could I say they're going through an identity crisis? It seems like
They're all propaganda pushers, okay?
they're cheering
I've
on.
seen I've seen how have you noticed you sit two people in a room, right? You could tell who watches Fox News and you could tell who watches CNN just by what they say. They repeat everything they've seen on that TV. You're only going to get some kind of a good conversation when people look at all news. Then they have a bigger perspective. But it's all propaganda. I don't even know it because look at how when COVID hit, it was like that's all on every channel they were in tune. I had never seen that before. I was like, wait a minute. Something's going on in the universe. And
That's
it's
true.
like they all were talking about it, right?
Right.
It's like they play the left against the right because it's divide and conquer. We don't have news like back in the 80s and the 70s where it was real news. Like people actually did their work. People like you were like how you talk and you actually read it. They don't do that anymore. Okay? They basically it's opinionated broadcasting. They opinionate it, and depending on what their audience is, depends on what they will push. Now, if they see it's dropping their audience, what do? They switch up. You notice that CNN started to actually talk about Biden now. They weren't
Well, see, that's
before.
the thing. I don't even, and I usually catch some kind of wild sound bite, from
That's what I've been
third
catching.
or fourth, because I don't watch regular cable. I'll tell you, I stumbled onto something yesterday that was just streamed, And it was something a family member of mine was watching, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot watch. I see when I see these things, I see them as something totally different. I'm not in awe of people's talent. I'm not in awe of, not that I'm not in awe of people's talent. I'm not in awe of the presentation, the bun and the lettuce. Okay, the voice. I'm not in awe of the people sitting in front of them. I just don't, the whole network, the whole paradigm of it. I just don't want any part of it. And I said, look, I told her that she looks like Bram Stoker's Dracula when he was wearing that red robe with the blonde things down his back. I gotta go. You know, it's like,
Well, I
because
don't
it's
have
demonic.
cable. I don't have cable. What I'll do is somebody will hit me up and they'll like I have people from both sides. I like to hear both sides. So somebody will send me a clip from CNN and then somebody will send me a clip from Fox News and then I'll look at both of them and I'm like, yeah, they're both lying. I wouldn't listen to neither one of them. But you know, when you hear how they all of a sudden switch up, like at first they were all about Biden, they were not even talking about him badly, and then you go to Fox and they're talking all kind of stuff about him. Now they're realizing that they're losing people because the ratings are down, so they're trying to step their game up and talk about the actual border and everything else. Okay, it's all a game. I can't even like I watch movies like the movie I watched the other day was 2047. It's a virtual revolution. It's about when the world is on virtual reality. People don't even leave their houses no more. They live to their like up to 40. The government pays for them to stay like connected in this virtual world. You might want to look at it. It was kind of eye opening because people just don't go outside anymore. And I'm like, wow, this is happening now.
Yeah,
you
you're
want to
right.
you want to know where freedom is? The reason I respect the Amish is because they didn't get into this technology for one. They, they seem like simple people, but they are the freest people. If you think about what we have to like, we're being forced to, force fed if we cut on the TV. If you think about it, them people are self efficient. They have structure. They're all about family. It's not forced when you're Amish. Like at a certain age, they give you a I can't remember what it's called, but they let you like go out in the world and see if you want to stay out in the world or you want to come back. And at a certain age, they do that. A lot of them come back, some of them don't. But I mean, I think if we want freedom, we just gonna have to just cut the TV off and just live, man, and not worry about it.
Well, I think you're. I mean, I think you're more than on to something there. And hello to Charles Gilmore the third. Thank you so much. I'm going to read some of your comments, but yes, I can see that we have. I think that we kind of got roped or kind of cattle rounded up like cattle when it comes to social media. And I'm not on Facebook myself. I was on Facebook, but I came off, and to me, it was a very liberating. One of the most liberating things I've done.
Yeah, it was
And
like I got the power back,
yeah.
man.
It's like, because I don't want, it's like, I don't want to. And then, honestly, I was starting to unfollow and unsubscribe to people because some of the things that they were posting were just kind of gross to me, just ideologically gross. And the people that were posting, I found that even they in their own lives, being around them wasn't a very positive experience. I'm just like, let's step back and look at this whole situation.
I
What
learned this from a rich guy. You know what he told me? He said life is about perception, okay? How we perceive things. And who you surround yourself with will also give you a perception. If you're around people, like, say you have friends you went to high school with, if you leave that town and come back 5 years ago and they're still in the same spot, you did the best thing by leaving. Sometimes you have to close doors so other ones open. Sometimes you have to burn a bridge so a new one can be built. a lot of people get upset when you break away from them, but sometimes it's not about how they feel. It's about what's important in your life, and is it helping build the foundation, or is it breaking down your foundation? And he told me I have to look at money differently. It's not about we have to look at money as we don't work for it. We make the money work for us. And that's why all them people that are up in the ladder, okay, is because of the way their mindset is. And that we've got away from that. We've got away from our individual thinking. When you get on social media, it's like you're in a group thinking session, because now you can choose, and you can unfollow, but then you close yourself to only one thought, and you lose individuality, because now you've got so many different directions to look at. What I found was when I stopped getting on social media, I found out who my real friends were. you know the people that really cared hit me up, but the rest of the people, you got to think, I don't know, I had like 5,000 followers. I'd have maybe four hit me up and ask me how I was doing. Four out of 5,000. What's that tell you?
Okay, if you get a flat tire, don't call
What's
them.
that tell you? It tells you
Say don't
your
call
real
them when
friends, you can
you get a
only
flat
hold them in
tire.
one hand,
Right. Right.
and you'll still have fingers left over. But yeah,
That's
it's
true.
been
I mean,
interesting.
I've like I said, I'm not on Facebook, and
Are
I
you
went.
still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
I can't hear you.
I don't. I don't see you on here. Hold on just a
Well, I'm
second.
gonna
I
get
think. I
some
think.
rest.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Hello.
You have a good night.
You too. I think you. I'm not sure what happened there, but thank you so much, Awesome Alice, for coming up. And of course, I always go beyond the 3 to 5 minutes. But of course, Awesome Alice, she comes on, and thank you, Awesome Alice, for coming up and being our 11th hour guest on. It is still, and it is actually Wednesday. It's Wednesday for everyone right now. I think, unless you're closer to somewhere else, like if you're South Pacific or something, it's probably not true. But thank you so much for coming in. Let me read a few comments from Charles Gilmore. And Charles, thank you so much. Callie Unknown said, I don't subscribe to their narratives either. Let's see, do I have a message from Awesome Alice? Okay. Thank you, Awesome Alice. Have a good night. And Charles Gilmore says, how much money has been made by these medical corporations in coming out with a mocktail? How much money is being made by people ordering everything online now? And how much do businesses save? Fair point. And that's, yeah, the whole brick and mortar business has suffered quite a bit, but you're not going to hear that narrative, because the pendulum has switched back, and they just want to spin, and that's going to be, they're going to blame it all on the CV-19. They're not going to say that these economies, whether state to state, they're not going to talk about the amount of closure, the measure of closure, or the draconian lockdowns contributed to, how they contributed to the suffering, or yeah, they're not going to do that. So keeping them honest, that's I think that was my whole point that I was on about, even with Awesome Alice here. It's like, are we even closer to keeping people honest about conversations, about things that really matter, about liberties, and just respecting people's privacy? Because I've been saying that privacy, forget about a mocktail. They think you should value, they're promoting perceptions out here of a mocktail, and luxury and acceptance, more than they are privacy, it's or safe, effectiveness. They are promoting they're using the liberals to drive the rhetoric and to drive the attraction to mocktails. And yeah, but we're not, I just don't think that we're any closer to, we're not any closer to any liberties or real, um yeah, just the human values. I think that human beings are being devalued. We're being taught the opposite of everything is being promoted right now. And yeah, 1984. Awesome, Alice. No worries. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it. So I'm gonna say hi or salute to everyone and wish everybody a great Wednesday. And it is my goal to come back on tomorrow. I'll be back on at a much earlier time. And when I say earlier, I'm thinking if I did a night stream, it's not going to be anywhere near like this, not this late. At most, I think that would probably put you at an 11 or maybe even a 7 or a 10 or 11 for people that are on the East Coast. So something like that, or maybe it's 10:30-ish, but not nearly as late as this. But I think we got some. I think we got some things off the dime. And Awesome Alice says it was good talking with you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Callie Unknown says I think they are trying to move toward classifying the plain domino as act of war. So it's just like, because I'm seeing, we're just dealing with more, like they're dividing us on like so many levels. Families are dividing over the mocktails or being mocktailed, the unmocktail versus the mocktail. And the pressure is coming into those, people are being pressured by, it's like, have you heard yourself? So I'm just thinking, okay, have you checked your brain cells since you got that? Have you checked the meter? Are you still moving the needle in the same direction or what? It's very sad. Charles Gilmore says West Coast for me. So there you go. Yeah, but yeah, I'll be back on tomorrow at a better time. But I just didn't. It's like it's been like 5 days. I never go 5 days, and at some point I will have to take a little bit of a wider break. But as long as I have a computer, wherever I am, I can get on. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, so we kind of opened up talking about propaganda and how people are using words like peasantry and middle class, and it seemed to me the middle class will be redefined. Can you imagine the middle class and peasantry being redefined by millennials or TikTokers, or defined by mocktails or big pharma? That's what this is. It's like we're being controlled. And nobody wants to take responsibility for, nobody wants to be associated with one person. The federal government says, oh, we're not going to mandate this, but the private sector will hamstring you for us. We don't have to federal mandate this. We could just rely on the private sector to mandate everything. We can still achieve the same dirty work, the same results, but it'll be just by the hand of somebody else. And that seems to be what they do regularly, and that's almost going to take me into something else. Like some people are just primed to, with all the social engineering that's going on and the control groups and people in their identity, they're just falling in the hands of the destruction is real. The division is real. So I'm going to stop rambling here and get out of here. As I said, do I have a comment from Awesome Alice? It says, I went gator watching the other day. I felt like crocodile. Let's see your hat. I remember the incredible hats, and I haven't been to Australia, but that's one place that I wanted to go. Charles Gilmore says, I always say, do what makes you happy as long as you are not bothering other people. Leave me alone and do you. All right, so let's say hello and good morning. Salute and good morning to you guys. Callie Unknown, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Austin Malice, thank you so much for coming in and for popping in at the 11th hour. Thank you so much. And I know Alex Leaping Jones was in earlier. Thank you so much, Alex Leaping Jones. You guys get to know, check each other out. You might have some kindred spirits around here. You never know. And who else do we have? Ted came in. Thank you, Ted, for coming in. And also, let's do it, Maria. I have to review some more of your content. I really enjoyed what I watched the other day. Let's do it, Maria. Yeah, good stuff there. Very good. Thank you. And who else do we have? Thank you so much for coming in. And I'm sorry to repeat something. Charles Gilmore, the three. I don't want to call it the third, but it's not. Charles Gilmore, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Oh, Austin Malice, it's going to happen, okay? You're going to be one of the first ones to know. Don't you worry about that. You'll be one of the first ones to know when I get the fishing pole, and I might even tell you where I'm looking at using it. I'll tell you where I'm looking at using it. Yes, Based Prism is Alex's. Yes, Alex Leaping Jones, Based Prism. Fun channel, great content. Check out Alex Leaping Jones, aka Based Prism. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. I managed to burn an entire hour and 56 minutes or 57 minutes now with you guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for hitting the like button on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. And I will be back hopefully tomorrow. And I will post the time and I will stick to it. I'll have stick to itiveness that will get you to bed a little bit earlier tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great rest of your great start to your Wednesday. And of course, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next live stream in the comment section on the Moonlight stream, a night Q, a reel under, or a video, or even in the comment section. I tell you guys that all the time. Yeah, so I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming in to the Wonk This Way. All right, guys. Have a great night. All right, you guys did get me on. You guys always get me at the very end. And yes, I am on Twitter. And like I said, who knows how long I'll be over there. But it's kind of funny. It's funny. It's kind of funny. All right, guys. Have a good day.